Now it's my pleasure to introduce our next two speakers. It's Michael Cook, our Global Segment Director for Off-Highway, and David Cayley, the Global Segment Manager, Industrial Automation. And you will talk about Off-Highway and tailored solutions for the segments with manufacturing and automation. So take them away.
Thank you, Conrad, and good morning, everyone. As Conrad said, my name is Michael Cook. I'm our Global Segment Director for Off-Highway, and today I'll be joined by David Cayley, our Global Segment Director for Industrial Automation. And over the next 15 minutes, we're going to take you through some tailored solutions for these key markets of off-highway and manufacturing and automation. So David, I can hand it over to you to run through our agenda.
Okay. Well, thanks, Michael, and good morning to everybody, and afternoon for some of you in other time zones. Today, we're going to start with challenges, and we're going to talk about performance challenges and just touch briefly on supply chain security. Then we're going to discuss the differences between standard and custom parts, highlighting those differences, and we'll finish out with a couple examples of global customers relying on Trelleborg for regional sourcing management. So the industry challenges, they start with performance. This is the number one challenge that everybody in the industry has. Your parts need to last a long time. We need longevity. We need to lengthen the time between repairs. That's what MTTR, mean time to repair, means. Another very hot topic is energy savings. Every component and every part that goes into a component needs to contribute towards improved energy savings without sacrificing speed and reliability. These are the key performance challenges. If I was to distill it down to just three, we could discuss this, Michael, for a long time and come up with probably 20 or 30 different ones, but those are the top three. On the other side of it, we have operational challenges, supply chain security, right? On-time deliveries, availability, and cost controls. Cost controls are key to this. The presentation just before went very, very deep into these supply chain security questions. We'll talk about it as well, but more from a part or component standpoint.
So if we take those perhaps industry-wide challenges and we distill them further down into the products that we're providing from Trelleborg, it really can be divided into two buckets, custom parts and standard parts. So when we talk about custom parts, from a local standpoint, we really want that R&D support as well as local testing and validation. And what that allows for is consistent exchange between the engineering teams and also the ability of customers to see their parts tested and validated by us on the supplier side. Additionally, with customer parts, it's critical to have experience across a wide range of applications, both applications that have been around for many years, but also looking forward to future applications where new parts and products will need to be developed accordingly. And then finally, having a wide product portfolio. Ultimately, Trelleborg likes to pride itself as being a complete solution provider, and we need that product portfolio to support a wide range of segments and applications. Now, when we move over to standard parts, reliability is key. As David said, that mean time to repair. We want to extend that time for as long as possible. We want our standard parts to be high performing to maximize their use in your applications. And then from a commercial standpoint, we look at price and availability. Certainly, we want to be competitively priced, and we want our product to be available, whether that availability is through local inventory, local manufacturing, or flexible sourcing, sort of some of the things that Thomas touched on prior. If something happens with one facility, can we make that part effectively at another facility? So these are the key things that we're looking for to solve the challenges when it comes to custom parts and standard parts. But we're going to go ahead and pull on that thread a little bit more and dive deeper now into both custom and standard parts. So we'll start with custom engineered parts. And we really think this is where local sourcing can shine. So we talk about geographic proximity. And as I mentioned, this really optimizes engineering collaboration. Our engineers can talk to your engineers and really come up with the right solution for your application to ensure that we get it right, ideally the first time, but hopefully the second time. Another big thing that maybe we don't always think about is regulatory compliance. When you have a domestic supply chain or domestic manufacturing, it almost goes without saying that that site will be aware and involved with the regulations of that country. So our sites are very knowledgeable about local regulations here in the Americas, and we're able to take our global aspects to understand international regulations as well. In some cases, members of our team actually sit on local standards boards, which even gives us a further knowledge into that area. Now, when it comes to lead times, we oftentimes think only about the time that it takes to make the part. But oftentimes, when it comes to custom engineered parts, what really takes a lot of time is the back and forth during the design process. You go through a design iteration, then a prototyping and testing. But being able to do all of that locally with our local team, viewing even potentially the testing as it ongoes, can really shorten that development timeline and get us into serial production sooner rather than later. And finally, when we talk about local manufacturing, we know that here in the Americas, we have access to some of the most high-tech manufacturing capabilities available. We can bring automation into our manufacturing facilities and really take advantage of the technology here for us. So some product examples that really would fit into this from our end would be our PDR seals, which are PTFE lip seals, our spring-energized Vera seals, our rubber molded cassette seals, and finally a wide range of both custom molded rubber and plastic parts. David, I'll hand it over to you to talk about standard parts.
Thanks, Michael. Standard parts. This is where globally distributed supply really makes sense. And I've got the little dollar sign in there because it makes economic sense, right? Material cost efficiencies. This is pretty basic. We get a lot of advantage from producing parts where we're sourcing the raw materials. It doesn't make sense to ship raw materials all around the world just to manufacture parts to ship them back to where the raw material first came from. And this ties very closely into our production economies of scale. There are many situations, especially with standard parts, where ramping up the automation and ramping up the size of the production operation in one country or a couple of distinct geographic locations makes more economic sense because we can get the price per part down below the cost that it is to transport that back to another country. And so this is a big economy of scale savings. And then, of course, how do we manage the regional and local? We do local and regional stocking. Matthias touched on that. We have stocking locations in many different countries, many different locations. Why is this important? It's important because a single SKU might be used by multiple customers. This reduces overall cost because we're stocking a larger volume, and it also provides flexible sourcing in the event of supply chain shock, or as happens very often, our customers have changes in their need. Sometimes they have a big order that needs to be suddenly filled, and it allows us to help out there. And then there's trade advantages. We work with countries like India, Mexico, Germany, and other European countries where there are some trade advantages despite all the geopolitical stuff going on right now. We manage those trade advantages to our greatest benefit when it comes to standard parts. Talking about standard parts, what are we talking about? We're talking about radial shaft seals, also known as oil seals, right? O-rings, U-cups, scrapers, some of your standard gaskets, and the parts, the list goes on, but those are your key standard parts. So now we're going to switch and talk a little bit about some use cases where we've used, this is for engineered parts. Michael, I think you're going to take this.
Sure, yes, thanks, David. So the first use case we want to talk about reflects custom engineered parts, and it involved one of our off-highway OEM customers. So they came to us. They were having some air leaks at end of production line testing with the incumbent seal. They had also had some field failures that were, they could extrapolate back that air leak at the end of the production line testing was likely causing premature failure in the field. And after some analysis, ultimately, what we could see is that just the application had moved, really the requirements had moved beyond what the legacy design could provide. And this happens from a continuous improvement standpoint over time. So what we were able to do is actually involve our product engineers at our flagship site for this product type, actually at our Denver facility. And because this footprint was local, excuse me, we were able to have face-to-face exchange with the local engineering teams of the customer with our product engineers on site. And what this really did was allow us to jointly develop a robust solution in a short time period. Additionally, with the site being locally, we were able to get prototypes made quickly, and then those prototypes were able to go on test with the customer, and ultimately they were able to pass the customer's testing in an improved way, solve the air leak issue, and due to the local manufacturing, we were able to be commercially competitive, and that really had a complete local supply chain to ideally solve both the customer's technical and their commercial concerns in that case.
Thanks, Michael. Use case number 2, this was for standard parts. This is representing a global motor and gearbox manufacturer. In reality, it's representing a couple of our customers that make motors and gearboxes. The problem, customer central purchasing and warehousing has led to extended lead times and increased shipping costs for global locations. This is at the customer, not ours. This is their problem, right? So when we investigate this, we find that they're buying parts all in one country and storing them in that country. And then their regional country locations order from that one spot against the inventory in that one country. What this causes for them is parts that ship from us go to one central warehouse somewhere in the world and then ship back out again to other locations across the globe, leading to increased lead times for their own customers internal. So what we were able to do is we were able to provide local inventory in each of the countries of interest. This reduced the lead times and it reduced the overall transportation costs for our customers. And this was a big benefit using the standard parts and our supply chain solutions. So with that, I think we're going to go to our wrap up.
Yes, thanks, David. So really what we want to reiterate here is Trelleborg's commitment to local support, not only for the segments that David and I represent, but for all the segments that we play in as an organization. So when we talk about how that reflects itself, ultimately with standard parts, we're looking for secure supply and localized inventory of a wide range, high-performing portfolio of those standard parts. When it comes to the custom engineered parts, we want local design, local testing, local manufacturing that really allows us to be close to our customer throughout the process, involve your engineering resources with our engineering resources to come up with the most robust solution in as quick a time frame as possible. And really what we hope that this facilitates is you taking advantage of our local resources to help your global trade. We know that in today's day and age, most manufacturers are globally connected, whether it's production facilities in many countries, or at least both importing and exporting their products into the world. We want to be there for you both locally so that you can succeed globally. So with that, our message to you is let's partner on your commercial and technical challenges, both of today and ideally in the future. So with that, David and I thank you, and we'll look for any questions.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, David and Michael, for sharing these interesting insights and especially the use cases. I think they were just a great showcase of what we do and how we help our customers. And we'll just kick it off straight away with the first question here. And I have to smile because we just talked about this recently, David, the last time we saw each other. And here's a customer asking, where do you make your radial shaft seals?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So radial shaft seals, oil seals, excuse me, sorry. We manufacture the bulk of them in Bengaluru, India. Bengaluru has a very large manufacturing facility and a lot of automation that allows us to supply globally to our different logistics centers. However, we also manufacture radial shaft seals in Turin, Italy. So we can flex our sourcing and manufacturing as needed to Turin. And in the Americas, we can, on rare occasion, do some of the manufacturing in one of our facilities in North America, with plans to increase that in the future.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, David. And here comes another question. What products do you actually manufacture in the US?
Thanks, Matthias. I'll go ahead and take that one. I think our next presentation is going to dive deeper into some of the specific manufacturing sites, so I won't spoil that, but just to give kind of a wide overview of some of the products that we are making here. Elastomer energized PTFE seals is one of the core product lines that we make here. We make those spring energized Variseals that I referenced earlier, as well as the PTFE lip seals. That was actually the use case that I highlighted for the custom engineered parts. We make some high modulus plastic products, both for bearing and other structural support. We have a facility that handles composites. Our facility in Brazil kind of makes a wide range of different products for the local and export markets there. And then we have a number of sites that are able to do custom rubber to plastic, rubber to metal, or other kind of custom gasket type products. So really a wide footprint that we hope to continue to expand in the future.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Michael. Thanks again, Michael and David, for sharing your insights and for kind of diving deeper, especially into the use cases and also getting back to our customer questions here. Thanks, gentlemen.